Hey you guys, Bear Sitzes here. I'm going to do a quick video for you guys about catching panfish for bait. I get asked a lot of questions about bait. You know, that's one of the most common questions I get. And it's what bait do you use, you know, and I like shad. I prefer shad over almost anything. But a lot of bodies of water don't have shad, or they won't allow you to throw a cast net, or say maybe you're not physically able to throw a cast net. Or you're like me, you get off work and you go out there and you don't want to throw a cast net, especially you work all day long in the sun. You don't want to go throw a net and pull it, especially if you got a bunch of weeds and stuff, and you don't want to be pulling that after work, you know. You want to relax, and this is way easier. It's way funner. But what I do is I target these trees that have overhanged way out into the river, into the current, and towards the end of those bushy trees is where your panfish will stack up. And sometimes it might be 15 to 20 feet of water, but those panfish will still be up near the surface, usually within 5 feet of the surface, around the end of them trees, just like crappie and bass and everything else does. You know, it's a little ambush point for them, and they can back into the bushy stuff, and they feel safe. But what I like to use is I like night crawlers because they're real hardy. The skin on them is real tough. It stays on your hook a lot better. You can use red wigglers, earthworms, bee moth, crickets, you know, whatever you want. But for me, I like a tiny jig head with a soft hook and a piece of night crawler that's about 3/4 of an inch to an inch long. And you can see my jig head here that I'm using. It's a little tiny jig head, just enough to give enough weight to sink a little and to cast. I don't like using the bobber and the hook and the weight as much. It's just almost, you know, a matter of when to set the hook. You know, they can sit there and tap, tap, tap it, or they can take it under and swallow it, you know, and this is much easier. And you can miss him, and you can let it fall and miss him again. You can miss that thing 3-4 times in a row. Eventually, you're going to get him or his buddy. So this is much quicker. It's much easier. Another little tip, you know, a lot of these fish, especially if a predator comes in, they'll get down deep inside those trees to where as soon as they come out, just like a flathead bass, they hit it and they go right back into it. So you got to get close to them trees, and eventually, you know, you're going to snag up. And a good tip is when you snag up inside that tree, let your bait just sit there. Don't start yanking and really getting it in there and trying to get it off. If you know you're snagged, if it don't come off easy, you've already buried that soft hook. Just let it sit there, because you know these hooks don't always bend, and if you're breaking off, let it sit. If you know you got bait on there and you know you have bluegill in there, they will take that hook off of that tree for you. I mean, just let it sit, give it a little bit of slack, and they'll pull it off there for you. I guarantee it. I do it several times every time I'm catching them. It works. And another thing, if you're out here and say you're getting one after another, and you're really getting these panfish, and then all of a sudden they shut off like a light switch, you have a predator in there. It's either a catfish or a big bass. Sometimes a gar will do that, or striper, but usually it's a big bass or a catfish. And you know, like, actually that's why I'm making this video right now. I was hitting them every single cast. As soon as I threw in, I was getting hooked up on these bluegill. Like literally, I couldn't even jig it or let it fall. They're taking it as soon as it hit the water. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't get them anywhere through this tree. They just completely shut off out of nowhere. I finally got one to bite out towards the end of the tree. It went deeper, it hit, and I got it halfway through my boat. Something slammed it, went straight back to the tree, just like the other day when I went live with that fish that wrapped me. I'm actually in the same tree, so it's probably the same fish that did it to me the other day, possibly. But, you know, he did that to me, and as now you can see, they're not hitting me like I was. So what I'll probably do is put one of these live bluegill I just caught on a circle hook, drift him in there on a free line, and I'm going to catch whatever that was, whatever bass or catfish. I'm going to pull him out, let him go. He'll go off for a while and let me get back to catching my bluegill. But, you know, those are just a couple little tips. So before you guys go relying on, you know, frozen bait and stuff like that, which you shouldn't use unless you absolutely have to, and before you go mixing up, you know, chicken and jello and all them weird combinations and stuff like that, I mean, if you want to go out and catch fish on weird stuff and that's fun to you, then there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can go make a whole day out of it about, you know, thinking whatever weird stuff you can catch fish on. If that's what you want to do, then do it. But if you just want to go out and consistently catch fish for bait, then you know, use something natural, and then you can't go wrong with bluegill. You can't go wrong with panfish, whether you use them cut or live. It really depends on you. If you have multiple poles, try both. I prefer mostly cut for my flatheads and my blues and my channels. I just do better on them, but sometimes they want live bait. But I'm about ready to go fishing. You know, I'm sorry if I went too long, and a lot of this stuff I'm saying, you guys already know this stuff. You know, a lot of places you can get bluegill off any boat ramp or boathouse or dock or weed bed, but some places like this part of the Tennessee River, it's not always like that. Especially, you know, once spring and summer comes and everybody's fishing for them, it can be hard to get them along the docks. And you might go get a few, but I'm talking if you need, you know, 20 or 30 of them. You know, I've been here maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I got these, and I'm not joking. I mean, I'd say probably about 20 minutes I've been sitting here, and I've let a lot of them go. A lot of the smaller ones go, but I mean, that's catching bait, you know, and it's a lot more enjoyable. You know, you're out here catching fish. This is much funner than throwing a cast net and having to heave that thing and pull it back in and wondering if you're getting stuck. But you know, if nothing else this weekend, take your kids out to catch bait. You know, they'll have a blast, or your grandkids or your neighbor's kids. You know, take them fishing, or not even kids. You know, take your buddies, get them out of the house, get them out there on the water. You guys are gonna have fun. You know, like they say, a bad day fishing is better than a good day at work, which I completely disagree with. But you know, it's still fun to get out there with your buddies and have a good time. And if you got a boat and stuff and your buddies don't, we'll take them with you. You know, have a good time this weekend. How you doing? Have a good time this weekend and be safe out there. There's a lot of drunks, a lot of trot lines and stuff in the river. So, you know, especially if you're pulling tubes. But love you guys. Keep it safe this weekend, and I'll see you guys on the water.